The human thigh bone is stronger than concrete, and it has to be. Bones provide the structure and the strength necessary to hold up and protect the entire body. But just because human bones are as strong as concrete, it doesn't mean they're solid masses of rock. Bones are actually made up of many different components.
So the most important component of the bone is calcium, and that is what gives bone its structural integrity. And bone is made in a very, very fine structure with canals. In the middle of it is the bone marrow, which of course is very important for the blood cells, but the cortex of the bone, which is the hard bone, is not hard. It's actually strong, but not rock-like at all, so that it can bend a little bit and take on pressure of impact when you do sports, etc.
Another way bone is unlike concrete, besides the whole not being made of cement thing, is that it's constantly changing. Your bone is alive and in flux, continuously ridding itself of old bone and growing new bone. Try that, concrete.
So there are different cells in the bone cortex. They're called osteoblasts and osteoclasts. Those are the two main osteobone cells. The osteoblast is important for bone formation, and the osteoclast is important for bone resorption, because again, bone is living and it is always laying down new bone and removing old bone.
Calcium is the most important component of that efficient bone-building machine. And that's why you often hear that milk, cheese, and other calcium-rich foods build strong bones. As people age, though, that workforce can be thrown out of whack for a number of reasons. Number one, older people have difficulty absorbing calcium. Number two, the osteoclasts can start removing old bone faster than the osteoblasts can rebuild it. And three, postmenopausal women have lower levels of estrogen, a hormone that helps move calcium into bones.
And if you do not have either enough calcium to make that new bone, or perhaps you are losing too much bone and can't keep up with the loss, that's when the disconnect can happen and the amount of new bone forming may not have as much density or strength as the old bone did.
This weaker bone can leave you vulnerable to fractures. And if your bone has lost a lot of its calcium density, you may develop osteoporosis. But don't lose hope. Since we're always making new bone, we have the potential to correct the loss of bone through the intake of calcium and vitamin D. And if that doesn't do the trick, there are also medications.
There are different types of medications, some that prevent the loss of bone, meaning decreased bone resorption, and some newer agents that increase bone formation. And then we have lifestyle changes. For the smoker, we urge them to stop smoking, as well as exercise. At any age, we recommend a physical activity as much as possible, 3 to 5 times a week, minimum of 30 minutes, and we recommend weight-bearing exercise. The goal of weight-bearing exercise is to increase bone density, as well as to improve the muscles that connect those to the bone so that you are more steady in your gait, less at risk to fall, and should you fall, less at risk to fracture.
When it comes to calcium, adults should be taking 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams a day, especially the postmenopausal women. Now, there are many natural sources of calcium, including seaweeds like kelp, nuts like almonds, veggies like broccoli, products fortified with calcium like orange juice, and of course, the obvious dairy products. Hey, this is probably the one time you can ask your doctor to prescribe some ice cream. Well, it's worth a try. I'm Dr. Keller Wortham, and you're watching the eHealth Network. We'll be back in a bit.